How do you become an elite level public speaker? Today, I am going to be giving you just that, the framework of how you can become an amazing public speaker. So when it comes to your speeches, you can kind of divide them in two segments when it comes to structuring them and delivering them. So your speech will be divided in two parts. Like it's going to be divided in multiple parts, but you're going to approach the speech in two parts. First one is content. So content is the ideation part of your speech. The second part of your speech is the delivery part. So the delivery is how you execute your speech. Now when it comes to content, today first and foremost we will be talking about the structure of your speech. Your speech needs to have a structure, because if there is no structure, your speech is going to fall apart. So structure is really important for you to be able to give a speech properly. After the structure, we are going to be talking about the essential features that make a speech more impactful. Correct? So that is all about content. And in delivery, we are going to be talking about voice modulation in delivery. Because here's the thing, right? If you do not modulate your voice, your speech is going to sound so monotonous that people are going to stop paying attention and they'll just want to sleep. So that is why voice modulation is really important. And after that, we will be talking about body language, because body language is something that gives life to your speech. Your energy is conveyed through your body language. Correct? And if you have a low energy body language, the audience is also going to have a low response, a low energy response. And if you have a high energy body language, then again, your audience is going to have a high energy response. Like even listening to me right now, if my energy is going low, even you start to feel calm. But when my energy goes high and you see me moving my hands and just moving here and there, you observe that your energy also goes high. So that is the power of body language. Let's begin with the content and structure of the speech. Now let's approach this speech like a story. We're approaching this speech like a story. The most important part of the story is the hook. Hook is basically the first 15 seconds of your story. You need to understand that when you are going on stage and the audience sees you, the first 15 seconds determine whether the audience is going to pay attention to your entire speech or they're going to take you casually. It sets the tone for the rest of the speech. So you need to make sure that the hook, the first 15 seconds of your speech, you are the most confident version of yourself, you are strong, you are energetic, right? Because that is what is going to set the tone for the rest of the speech. So you need to make sure that the hook has the right energy in it. Correct? So that is the first thing, hook. After the hook, the most important thing is the challenge. What is the challenge you are overcoming in your speech? If there is no challenge, then your speech is not going to be as interesting, to be brutally honest. I'm sorry, it's just not going to be as interesting if the story has no challenge. Just think about it. Even if you look at movies, what movies have you liked the most? Think about Avengers, Infinity War, or the Endgame. Correct? Why were you so hooked and engaged? Because the story, the content was amazing. One snap of Thanos' finger, half of the universe's population wiped away. Correct? That is an amazing challenge. Right? After they are dead, reviving half of the universe back is again an amazing challenge. Because of that, you watch the entire movie. Right? Similarly, your speech needs to have an amazing challenge as well. Like what are the objectives that we are trying to accomplish? Correct? So that is the challenge. After the challenge comes overcoming of the challenge. How do you overcome the challenge? What are the challenges that you need to go through? What are the obstacles you had to face? Right? After the hook, the challenge, how you overcome the challenge? What are the details? What obstacles do you have to conquer? What are the people that you met that helped you, or anything that you used or anyone you met to overcome that challenge. That is what you're going to mention in the overcoming. And the fourth thing, evolution. What kind of change did overcoming that challenge bring about? What is the evolution? How did it change the world, or how did it change someone's character, or how did it change people's perception? What was the evolution? Correct? And if it did not bring about any evolution, then to be honest, the speech, the story wasn't challenging enough. Any big challenge that you face, you evolve through it. Tony Stark, every time he met a villain, he learned from that villain and he overcame challenges. And throughout the story, the Iron Man's suit keeps on improving. He started with a clunky structure that has a lot of bulk to it, but as he met more and more villains, he found out that okay, these are the flaws, these are the things that I need to add in. He met Thanos at the end and Infinity Gauntlet, so he built his own Infinity Gauntlet. So what is the evolution that was caused because of the challenge, because of overcoming that challenge as well? That is the fourth thing. And the fifth thing is the ending, or the L15, the last 15 seconds of your speech. You need to conclude on a high note, correct? If you do all of these things right, you have the hook right, the challenge is amazing, and you explain it in a very detail oriented manner, the overcoming of the challenge in a way. Now again, it shouldn't be highly detailed. If the details don't add to your story, then they don't belong in the story. It's as simple as that. Do not put in details that do not contribute towards the story, that do not contribute in overcoming the challenge, or do not make the audience feel any sort of emotion. Okay? After overcoming, again, is evolution, and then ending. Again, end the story on a high note. Do not end the story on a low note unless you have part 2 of the speech that you are going to give soon. In that case, you can, but otherwise, do not end your story on a low note. Okay? And make sure the ending has a very strong impact on the audience. So that is about the structure of the speech. Now, let me just talk to you a little bit about delivery so that you can understand the essential features that are going to come after the delivery part. So one of the most crucial things in delivery, voice modulation. Now understand that you can classify the modulation of voice into 3 categories. First one is visual. Understand that there are speakers that are very visual. For example, if I were to talk about myself, I am someone that is considered more of a visual speaker, right? I can be very loud, I can be very fast, I can move my hands really fast as well. So now I am right now being a very visual speaker. Me being this, right? Speaking very loudly, going very fast, going right, just trying to be a lot of, doing a lot of things all together. That is me being a visual speaker. Second type of voice modulation is auditory. So an auditory speaker is someone that, so think about it in this way. I'm just gonna now, if I were to do the entire video in this way, not modulating any of my voice, having a still body language, just yapping like this, like a dead duck, would you want to hear me? No, right? But this still is an auditory voice. This is how lecturers or very, people that have zero voice modulation, they talk like this, completely boring like a dead duck. So this was auditory. Okay, I hope I did not bore you to death with that. But yeah, that is how auditory speakers speak. And the third type of voice modulation is kinesthetic. So kinesthetic speakers are in a way that if you see meditation videos, the speakers that are speaking in those meditation videos, the voice that you hear is very calm, very soothing. Those are kinesthetic speakers. So speaking in a very calm and a very slow manner is me being a kinesthetic speaker, right? So these are three different types of voice modulations, okay? And this range wherein we can go visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. This is called the VAK range. You need to keep this in mind. This is called the VAK range, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic range. Okay. Now let's just move on to the next part of the content. So, what are the essential features of a story? Essential features of a speech? Now, again, having a VAK range. That means, as I mentioned before, there have to be times wherein you are going visual, there have to be times wherein you are going auditory, and there have to be times when you are going kinesthetic. If you just stick in one range throughout your speech, even if let's say I'm visual all of the time, guess what? Sure, it sounds good, that man, high energy, but the audience is going to get tired. If you are visual all of the time, guess what? It's not just you that's spending energy. It's also the audience that has to feel that energy, and the audience is going to feel tired if you're visual all of the time. Imagine if throughout this video I was just shouting at you that, man, what are you doing? Just, completely visual. You're going to get tired, man. Correct? So you need to have a range. There have to be times wherein you are visual, wherein you want to convey energy. You have to be auditory when you are transitioning between segments, and you can be kinesthetic when there's some deep emotion that you want to make your audience feel. Correct? Second is the details. You see, the details add life to your story. For example, let me tell you something about my second love. So it's said that we fall in love 3 times in our lives, and the first time we fall in love is when we're young, dumb, and broke. We don't think, we just do. And then the second time we fall in love is when we think that the other person is perfect. And the third time we fall in love is when we go through all of our heartbreaks, we overcome them, and we become a mature version of ourselves. And then we find the third person. Correct? And to talk about my second love, when I say perfect, my God, she was perfect. The way she used to walk, the way she used to talk, the smell of her hair, her accidental touch. My God, and as soon as I heard her voice, it would just give me immense joy. Now these were the details. The details when I talked about, like the way she used to walk, the way she used to talk. So this is me adding details, and these details paint picture, and it makes the audience feel that they are with you in that moment. So that is why details are important. Third thing is use your senses. Again, taking the previous example that I just shared in front of you, the smell of her hair, right? Again, I'm using a sense of smell. Then her accidental touch, again, touch is a sense. So try and incorporate your senses into that speech. And the fourth thing is emotions. You need to convey emotion through your speech. If you cannot convey emotions, you will not be able to create a heart-touching impact. Emotions add depth to your story. Without emotions, your story, your speech, it is going to fall flat. Add emotions. Be expressive. I know initially it is going to be difficult, but as you record yourself more and more and more, you are going to convey more emotions relatively easily. So, emotions. Fifth thing is engage the audience. Understand this. You need to engage your audience and keep your audience hooked by different methods. For example, every time you're changing your voice, you're modulating it, correct? You are engaging the audience. Every time you ask a question, you are engaging the audience. Every time you're asking a question to evoke a response from the audience, correct? What are you doing? You are engaging them. For example, I'm talking to you right now. Let me ask you something. Why is it important for you to engage the audience? Think about it. Yeah, legit, think about it. It is important, and I think you're right? You have something. So it is important for you to engage the audience so that it keeps on paying attention. If you don't engage your audience, they'll stop paying attention and they'll stop listening to your speech. Even if you have an amazing F15 or an amazing, challenge. After that, in overcoming the challenge and in evolution, if you don't keep them engaged, they want to stop listening. Okay? So that is why it's really important for you to engage the audience. Sixth thing is own the stage. Okay? Own the stage. If you observe me, I'm not just standing in one place and speaking. I'm going over here. I'm going over there. What am I doing? It's me owning the stage. Why? Because when you own the stage, you look so much more confident, and my God, does it leave an amazing impact. So own the stage when you're speaking. Correct? Now again, don't move around too much. Like for example, if I'm moving all the time, then it's in a way distracting you from what I'm trying to say. Correct? So don't move all of the time. Right? If you move all of the time, it's distracting. So move when you're transitioning from one segment to another. That is when you move. And when you need to emphasize on something, stop and emphasize. Does that make sense? Just show me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Alright, I'm just engaging you. And the last thing, relevance. Make sure that your story or your speech is relevant to the audience. For example, if you're going to an open mic, don't try and give a motivational speech over there. People have come there to have fun. Now you could, I'm not saying you couldn't, but a stand-up would be a better place, but a stand-up would be a better option to try out at an open mic. A poem would be better at an open mic. A motivational speech is not the right way to go when it comes to an open mic. But let's say if it's a seminar, a business seminar, you won an award of some sort, right? It's a conference. Then you could give a motivational speech. Correct? So understand that is your speech relevant to the audience. If it's not relevant to the audience, then you should make some changes. Okay? So these are the 7 essential features: VAK range, details, use your senses, emotions, engage the audience, own the stage, and make sure your speech is relevant. Now we are going to talk about body language. Now when it comes to body language, the first thing you need to keep in mind is confidence. So a confident body language is the one in which your elbows are not stuck to your body. Correct? For example, now this is not a confident body language. Okay, my shoulders are ahead and my back is hunched. This is an underconfident body language. This, right now, I'm much more upright and I'm squared up. This is a confident body language. This is a very dominating body language. Right now, I have my arms kind of, spread, and I'm occupying more space. Right? So this is a more dominating body language. And the wider the space, the more horizontal space I occupy, the more dominating I appear. Correct? So this is even more dominating. Let me just adjust the camera so that you can understand. Correct? So for example, I'm still dominating, but right now Since I'm occupying more space, I'm dominating even more. So understand that this is very dominating, and this is just, like me kind of being nervous and cramping up on the inside. So understand that the more space you occupy, the more dominating or overconfident you look. Correct? The less space you occupy, the more nervous you look. So you need to occupy the right amount of space. Let me just readjust this. Correct? So the right amount of spacing would be if your hands were at a 45 degree, or between 30 and 45 degrees is optimal. Correct? So that is the optimal spacing in my opinion. After that, now also understand that, so this was confidence, and this is the next thing is about masculine or feminine. For example, a masculine body language is the one wherein if you're walking, your legs are just slightly outside the shoulder width, just slightly outside, and you're walking dominantly. Correct? Squared up shoulders and chest out, right? So that is ultra masculine body language. You don't have to do that, right? No, don't do that. Have, like, if you're a man, slightly towards the masculine side, and if you are a woman, then obviously have a more feminine body language. Now, women tend to walk in a way wherein their legs fall inside their shoulder line, not very inside, but the more inside it is, the more feminine it is considered. For example, cat walking, right? They walk in a straight line, correct? So they kind of crisscross. So that is feminine. That's very feminine, right? So understand the masculinity and the femininity of the body language as well, right? So now, that being said, that does not mean that a man can never have feminine body language. Let's say, for example, if you have more feminine energy, then a man can have a feminine body language as well. So that's not going to be an issue. So yeah, just keep these areas in mind. There are 2 areas of content and 2 areas of delivery. In content, remember the essential features that I just talked about. I'll just put them on your screen right now. These are the essential features. Then also understand the structure of the story or the speech as well. And then after that, come to delivery. Understand that there is voice modulation that's really important for delivery. Correct? The VAK range. And then after voice modulation what comes after voice modulation? Tell me. After voice modulation, in the delivery part comes body language. Correct? So there's dominating, that's underconfident. Okay? There's masculine and there's feminine. So keep these things in mind and practice regularly. Also, let me tell you one more thing. If you do not practice, you watching this entire segment does nothing if you do not practice. So take a camera, start recording and start practicing. With that being said, now if you'd like to become a better public speaker, I've attached a form below this video. You can check that out and you can fill that form. I'm also running a cohort. Soon I keep on running these cohorts as well on public speaking, on different areas, correct? So if you are someone that wants to become a better public speaker or become a better speaker in general, become a better communicator, just fill up the form below and our team will reach out to you. Correct? So my name is Mohit Jagwani. I am one of Ahmedabad's leading speakers. I'm a life coach. I also have a business and I create content that helps you be the most powerful and confident version of yourself. So if you want to be a more powerful and confident version of yourself, subscribe right now. And yeah, that's all. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.